Good afternoon, fellow readers and newcomers. I hope you're all having a nice day wherever you are in the world. If this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. And if this is your second or third time visiting the channel, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a book called Night Angler, Poems by Geffrey Davis. Two questions that I want to ask. What is a poem and who is Geffrey Davis? Let's start by understanding what a poem is. A poem is a form of writing that uses words to express thoughts, feelings, or a narrative in a very creative way. There are different types of poems, including narrative poems, epic poems, haiku, and an elegy. Now, who's Geffrey Davis? With a bit of research, I've discovered that he is an American poet and professor. Born in Seattle, Washington in 1983. For a time, he worked at a grocery store before moving to college, which then led to obtaining 3 graduate degrees: a master's degree in English, a Master of Fine Arts degree in poetry, and a PhD in English. His works cover a range of topics, from fatherhood to violence and peace, to what it's like to raise an American family. And this book is no exception, nor spares any seconds. Let's now take a look at Night Angler. It's a rather slim book with about 30 to 31 pages of content, including a page about the author and a section involving the contents. I'll be jumping around a bit so that we can fully expose ourselves to Geffrey's writing style and abilities. Sun's face. My unease no longer flares inside dreams. Mornings I wake and walk hand in hand with worry down the hall to the potty. Feel 5 little fingers like 5 pins on ghost grenades, tugged by memories of the ground. The world can tear from underneath mixed boys, and I would fall on each possible blast, but I need to brush these baby teeth, and no matter how dearly I hold my son's face, no measure gives up the moment. For each wound I know on its way, in the mirror we smile. What I mean when I say harmony. Dear boy, be the muscle. Make music to the bone. Risk that mercurial measure of contact. There are those who touch a body and leave it graceful. Be that kind of wonder, and if I ever catch you confusing a pulse for a path or a bridge to beat loneliness, your blood will be the object of discussion. I will ask to see it back, if only to know the shared sinew, if only to relight your blessing, if only to rekindle the song carried in your hands. Self-portrait as a dead black boy. At 13, for a whole dark season, I was lethal with my pellet gun, murdering minor things that wandered into yards, stalking the thin woods between our house and the highway. I picked off any bird, squirrel, rabbit, snake I could track. If I had 2 surprise seconds to explain the meaning of my hands, my instincts would have been to show you the weapon to turn, hoping you could see gentleness poised behind the risk. So when Tamir Rice was shot X times, the toy pistol he carried couldn't have killed anything big or small, even if he tried. But of course, as the story goes, the math's all wrong. I made it to 28 without owning a gun, and then my son burst onto the scene with thousands of miles between me and my tribe. So I learned it took just hours to return, loaded and licensed, to conceal a new danger. However, as soon as I felt that dark weight tugged against my torso, I realized the mistake. How few and unsafe the scenarios, with me pointing this threat at another threat to survive. So now, on my knees, I'm preparing my heart to receive the next shots, until a new divinity forbids one more black body be burned down according to an imagination that feeds its godliness with fear as seen through smoke. In my 30s now, I buy sneakers that don't slip off my feet and feel older for the fit. On the way home from getting new pairs, we stop at a local farmer's market, and before exiting the vehicle, my boy and I change into our fresh kicks to feel godly while walking. Aisles of shining produce, and handcrafted candles. So when Philando Castile was shot X times, a bullet searing through each year of his little girl's life in the back seat, I can't see his shoes in the documentary of this dying, but his body slides in and out of his safety belt as a cop keeps weapon trained, a dark star stopping the open question of his window. Sometimes a sleeplessness blesses you. In our shared family bed, I lie awake and hear the steady sonata of my wife and son's unconscious breath turning our room into this shore with a midnight tidal. Music I wouldn't want to live without, so when Eric Garner was denied air for X seconds, the song and kin of his lungs flattened above the city's dirty sidewalk. Let us pray. My mother said I should not do it, but all night I turned the horses loose. The farmhouse slept. The coyotes hunted noisily. I was a boy then, my chest its own field flowered by restlessness. How many ropes to corral a herd? I had none but a stubborn concern with steady hands, and the darkness of the summer wind which moved right through me, the way the coyotes moved through the woods with voices that seemed to mourn the moonlit limits of this release, and those who had prayed for release before me. I pulled each horse through the open barn doors, all night out into the pasture with little resistance, all night my hands buried in manes as if I were descending into a new understanding, all night my path away toward recovery, and then carrying its own kind of clemency against the tall forest of sharp pines. The morning came, and inside of me was the deep-pitched presence a howl builds at the lonely center of its ball, before the throat remembers again that other sweet mercy silence. The light climbed into the pasture. The coyotes were crying and then were not. And the pasture was, I could see as I led the last warm body to field full of memory and motion. The fidelity of music. I took time and travel to understand how the word father sings to me in all languages. I want daddy, but father abuser crosses the notes or keys I believe have barricaded the badness of that man. I hear father added in the damn silence. Of course, my wholehearted hope had no chance, which I should have known once I learned guitar. The first instrument I tried to turn against him, rifed father liar, plucked father thief, but for each piece of music I make into a door for daddy's return, father deserter has orchestrated without warning. Another empty house of blues. Do you hear what it means for me to sing my son to sleep? What I mean when I say harmony. Sister, I want the boldest ballad for you, as impossible and present as the sky. Which is to say, I want joy to find you everywhere. The wet moppiness of a western morning, eager with opening its gray smile upon you. I want the southern dark proud to hum another brown tiredness from your body, hymned by safety. In my dream of the song, there is always a bridge under which the word daddy passes. Far beneath us, knowing not to beg for anything else, doing no more harm. Like me, you too seek the tune that will for once convince this dogged loneliness to drop. Our word hearts from its mouth, we are ready and ripe with living. The fidelity of angles. Longing approaches us by from memory, from holy irreverence, from time zones apart, where another morning's light creeps all across a distinct range of mountain, stunning plateau birds into the original sweetness of song, we want to understand this. According to our appetite for pulling a rare angular music from the body's dark cathedral, or we grow stubborn for the wild severity of the wind, plying trees. We want the vastness of that motion, then sleep. We desire so much from more. Pleasures of place. You are this kind of wonder in the dark, dear boy. I have spent the evening on our porch smoking in quiet complaint, comparing old pleasures of places I have lived, how we leave behind something vital and know the fact once we catch its absence broadcasted by new towns. Inland Oregon made me miss the shoreline, the salty endlessness of the rocks barnacled along Commencement Bay. Then I despised the low rise of the Allegheny Ridge, which was another way of remembering the West and registering my loss of Mountain Hood and Mountain Rainier. Before that, their constant loom no longer fixing me from the horizon. And tonight, it's the thinness of these Arkansas fireflies learning me just how flooded with light our Pennsylvania yard became. As if on cue, you come bombing out the back door, 2 flashlights in hand, and run deep into the August dark, where you invent a dazzling dance that frames your body in this turning I can't describe. From beyond an Ozark oak, I know you, the erasure of my face, lit brilliant by the country of your presence. And we will stop there for now. If you liked what you saw, let me know. This book is also available at most libraries, and if it's not available at your local library, check the online bookstores. There's always an outlet to find a copy of a good book. I'd also like to recommend this book as a good starting point for those that are starting to get interested in poetry and for those who are studying this form of expression. Question for you: would you write a poem? I thank you again for taking the time to read and explore along with me, and I'll see you again next time on Let's Read Together.